So this man is not wrong. Unfortunately, he's marrying the wrong woman and he's probably in love with her and he's going down the wrong path with this. Kids like this don't get it together unless they're thrown out. And remember this, all men who are marrying single mothers, you never come first. Never. You're always second. Hi, my name is Brooklyn Jeff. I guess the idea is I'm going to see if these people are assholes, in my opinion. I'll give you what I think of people's reactions to certain situations and see what I would have done and how I feel about it.
Am I the asshole for telling my fiancée she's enabling her son and that he has to leave after he blew his student loan money? My fiancée's 23-year-old son, Connor, has been living with us for about a year and a half. The arrangement is that he doesn't pay any rent or bills. His only contribution is cutting the grass. Over the years, we've both helped him out financially. He still owes me $500 from 2 years ago when he was short on rent, and he owes my fiancée over $400 that she gave him just a couple of months ago for a suit and other things. Recently, things were looking up. Connor enrolled in HVAC school, and we were both really proud of him for taking that step. The only hurdle was that he has a suspended driver's license from an incident in Georgia where he was in an accident while driving without insurance and then missed his court date. He would need his license back to have a career in HVAC. A few days ago, Connor received a student loan refund check for $1,030. This is where the problem started. My fiancé said he should use that money to finally pay me and her back. I disagreed. In fact, when he started school, I had already told Connor that he didn't have to pay back my $500. I said that him going to school and doing the hard work was payment enough for me. I told my fiancé we should let him keep all the refund money and use it to pay off his fines in Georgia. My thinking was that getting his license back was an investment in his future and more important than any old debts. She was hesitant, but I pushed for my idea. Well, Connor got the money, and my plan went up in smoke, literally. Instead of paying his fines, he spent the money on Ubers to the club, weed, and going to the casino. Then he dropped some bullshit on us. He's dropping out of HVAC school and is just going to get a job at a warehouse instead. I was pissed. He took the opportunity I argued for him to have and literally gambled it away. He didn't pay his fines, he didn't pay us back, and he quit the one promising thing he had going for him, which was my one condition for forgiving his debt to me. I tried to talk to him, telling him that there's no money in warehouse work and he'd just be broke. He had the nerve to turn and say to me, "You are broke." The funny thing is, I pay all the bills that keep a roof over his head. After that, I was completely done. I went to my fiancée and told her that Connor had to leave. I said, "You are enabling him by letting him stay here another day. If he doesn't want to help himself, he needs to go." She got very upset and said that she can't just abandon him and that she can't do that because it's her son. I feel like my trust was betrayed, and he's proven he has no intention of getting his life together. So, am I the asshole for telling my fiancée she's enabling him and that he needs to leave our house immediately?
You are the asshole in one respect. For marrying this woman, you are an asshole, okay? Because this woman is not a good woman. She's going to take care of that kid every single chance she gets. She's never going to let him leave the house. She's going to pay all his bills. She's going to make excuses for him, and your life is going to be internally destroyed by this young, inconsiderate young man. When kids stay home and they got a free ride, they don't want to work. They're never going to go to work. When you smoke weed, when you go gamble, when you're irresponsible and you got a free rent, that's the perfect scenario for you. When you got to pay rent, you got to pay expenses. You can't do that shit. So this man is not wrong. Unfortunately, he's marrying the wrong woman and he's probably in love with her and he's going down the wrong path with this. Look, I have family members and I have experienced crazy people in our family who mothers, I can't discuss their names, would say, "He's a good boy. He's a good boy." When, if you looked at it objectively, he's a terrible child. He's absolutely nuts. He's never worked a day in his life and he'll never go anywhere in life. And moms can't really see it. So this child will be your responsibility until he, probably forever, because I don't think he's ever going to get it together. Kids like this don't get it together unless they're thrown out. So on the street, I would buy him the following: a portable heater that's run by solar, a tent, a knapsack, and I would take my foot stick it right up his ass and throw him the fuck out. There are people who just don't want to get it together, especially if it's free, man. If you get free rent and you got everything free, you're not going to get it together. You have to be kicked out at a certain point, and you gotta. It's kind of like when you learn to swim. I'll just make this statement. I had a girlfriend. She couldn't swim, and she said to me, "Jeff, I'm really afraid to swim." And I said to her, we went to Cancun together. We went to a place called Acamal, which is a beautiful place. I hired a private instructor, and the instructor took her on the boat, and we went on the boat. She had a life jacket on, of course, and he pushed her in the water. Well, not really pushed her, but he said to her, "Go into the water. Come on, do it, do it." And she backdived, not really backdived, but entered the water in a backwards position and swam and loves a pool now. So there's a moment in time where you got to force someone to face their fear and do it. And when it comes to children, if it's all free, like you do their laundry, you cook their food, you give them a room, you pay their bills, you make sure their life is perfect, you pay their internet, they're not going anywhere. You got a liability forever, and that will ruin your marriage. And remember this, all men who are marrying single mothers, you never come first. Never. You're always second. So just when you think you're going to have a really great date with your girlfriend or fiance or future wife, and that child is crying or irritated or says, "Mommy, I don't want you to go out with him tonight," guess what? She's not going. You're second. And if you want to be second and pay all the bills, great. I really am impressed. Also, another thing, when she leaves you, the kid goes with her. So not only does she leave you, but the relationship that you develop with this child, and you may love this child, is gone. Child goes with mom, not with you. So this is a big gamble for men to take on single moms. Okay, at my age, there's very few women who don't have children, but you must make sure that that child and you have some type of love or some type of relationship, because sometimes you have a girlfriend and the kid hates you, and that will never work. If the kid and you can get along and maybe you can develop a relationship, it could work. But believe me, remember, when you get married, you want to be first. You don't want to be second. You will be second forever. And your girlfriend or fiance will say to you, "You know she comes first. You know he comes first." And so if you like that type of feeling, go do it.
Am I the asshole for not picking up my ex's daughter from school when I picked up our son? Ex cheated on me when I was pregnant with our son, 8. And because of this, he has a daughter, 8, with his affair partner, now wife. We are not on good terms, and I do not have a relationship with my ex's daughter. I have never spoken a word to her or spent any significant time in her presence. Ex and I split custody, 50-50, of our son. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the school during his custody time stating nobody had picked our son up from school and asking if I would. When I got to the school, my ex's daughter was also there and the teacher was with her. She told me I was on the approved list for pickup for ex's daughter and would I take both kids. I said no, and I told her I did not want to be on the list as I would never pick the other child up from school. She told me she would pass the word along and it would be taken care of, and I had to call to follow up on this. My ex never told me he or his wife added me to the authorized pickup list for his daughter. When he realized I had not picked up his daughter with our son, he was furious. He asked me how I could leave her behind when I would have our son unplanned anyway. I told him via our parenting app that I picked up our son as I would always do if needed, but his daughter is not my child and I will not be their emergency school pickup. According to him, my ex's daughter was there until 7 because I refused to pick her up with our son. She's a child, and I understand that's not ideal. I don't feel bad per se, but I wonder if I would be considered an asshole for being unwilling to do it this once. This is not something I want to be a regular thing, and it's the first time it ever happened. X's wife was apparently delayed out of town, and X was working. Am I the asshole?
That's a close call. This one is close because it's a child. And what happens is people who are separated have resentment towards each other. And the resentment is very strong here. She resents the fact that this child came from an affair that caused her marriage. So that resentment, I think, would prevent her from feeling any sentiment towards this child and therefore not doing it. So I understand her position. Additionally, if the child that she was supposed to, or not supposed to pick up, but was asked to pick up, lives close to where she lives, then I think she's more of an asshole for not picking the child up and taking her home. However, I do understand bitterness. There's nothing, a scorned woman is a dangerous woman. And she is scorned and she is unhappy. And when she looks at that daughter, or that daughter out of wedlock, she thinks of the relationship she had with the man who made that child, that got this young woman pregnant while she was pregnant, and her resentment is too strong to allow her to pick up this child, and possibly she doesn't want to see her ex anymore. I mean, sometimes when you hate someone and when the relationship is over, they've done so much negative stuff to you, you dread seeing them. So I think in my heart of hearts, it's a very tough call, and I don't think she's wrong. It's a toss up, really. I think honestly, I think she's okay. I think I would say fine, because you know what? She doesn't want to have this put back into her face. She's already lived through it once, and she was heartbroken, I'm sure. And I don't think she wants to see a child that was not really the cause of the heartbreak, but was a result of the heartbreak. It's tough for the kid, but that woman is so unhappy about this child coming and destroying their marriage, that she's not looking at the child as a child. She's looking at it as an object that destroyed her, broke her heart. That's what broke her heart. And now she's alone with her own child, raising him without her husband because of this woman and this child. So uh, there's so much feelings and hurt there that I don't know if she could get over it. Some people can't get over stuff. I mean, when somebody does something really bad to you, can you look at them and say, I forgive you? I mean, some spiritual people can, and maybe religious people, but most people are like me. They carry a grudge. And I carry a grudge. I don't think I could let that go. So I probably would have, I don't want to say it because people write that I'm an asshole, but I think I would have probably said, no, I'm not picking up your child.
Am I the asshole for getting upset that my husband gets to go on guys' golf trips every year? Meanwhile, I haven't had a break from our kids in 17 years. I'm a 42-year-old female, my husband is a 44-year-old male, and I've been married for almost 19 years and have two children. One is 17, female, and the other is 14, male. I was a stay-at-home mom until our youngest started kindergarten. My husband is the breadwinner, but we both have demanding full-time jobs. He earns considerably more. So he pays for most of the bills, but I pay for food, gas, and anything related to the kids, including my car, my daughter's car payment. This is where it gets dicey. I'm also the default parent while we both work. I have very little PTO due to having to take time off for anything and everything kid related. Our son has anxiety, ADHD, and school refusal disorder, so I barely had enough time to go on a week family vacation in the summer. Meanwhile, my husband has 300 plus hours of PTO. He could take several weeks off. He's going on his 4th annual golf trip with his friends, while I haven't had a day to myself in 17 years. It sounds even crazier now that I'm typing it out. Now, the only time I get me time is when I go to the hairdresser or doctor spa. I'm basically a married single mother and he does nothing with the kids. I don't fight with him about his trip, but it always hurts to know when he gets unfettered time away, while most days I'm hanging on by a thread and never getting a reprieve. I do admit I make underhanded comments to him about going on this trip, but then he gets upset and says things like, I don't see why you're mad. You can just go away too, or just pick a place and go. And I start to feel guilty, like maybe I shouldn't be saying anything. He feels completely justified in taking time away for himself, and I feel like I'm drowning with no time for myself. Am I valid for being upset about this, or am I the asshole?
You're in denial and an asshole. You're both. You're in denial and you're an asshole. Let me tell you why men take trips with their friends. They don't take trips to play golf. They take trips to get away from their wives so that they can be free and cheat on you. That's why they do it. They make up they're going golfing, they're going to fishing in Costa Rica, they're going to Ensenada to catch a tuna. They are not doing that, okay? He is not that. That's why he says go on your own trip because he doesn't care anymore. I'm sure you don't see it, and of course, blindness is probably willful blindness is probably part of life, and a lot of people are in denial. I myself have experienced denial of things that, if I looked at them objectively, I would have seen that I was completely in a bad situation. Men go away with their friends so they can cheat. They have girlfriends on the side. They pick up hookers. They go to bars. Yes, they play golf. But guess what? Most of the time, I would believe that they're having affairs. That's how men are wired. Not all men, of course, because you're going to say to me, oh, you're a male chauvinist, misogynist, you hate women, whatever. It's not that. Men are wired differently than women. Men can have sex with women and not feel anything and just do it, and they can go home and feel nothing really except guilt. And these trips are basically a trip to have an affair, if you ask me. Now, I can't be sure. I mean, he may be a golfer and maybe he loves golf, but a boy's trip is the same thing as a girl's trip. You ever see on the videos on the internet where the girls say, "Oh yeah, girls trip," and they laugh, "Ha ha ha, we're on a girls trip," and meanwhile, some of them are sleeping around. So that's what this really is. So you're not an asshole for being mad. You're an asshole for believing him. He, you know, look in the mirror and say to yourself, are we having a physical sex life? Do we have a physical relationship? Does he lust after me like he used to? Is our sex still good? Are we doing all those things? Is the blowjob still exist in our life? Do I give a blowjob? Does he want to be with me? Have I put on lingerie in the last couple of years? Does he come home and try to seduce me? If none of those things are happening, he's cheating on you. And that golf trip is he's gonna he's gonna use his putter to put it in to put his balls in a different hole. That's what that's about. Kind of a stupid analogy, but it is what it is. He's looking for a affair, and this is his excuse. Otherwise, he played golf in the local golf course. I'm almost positive. I know how men. Unfortunately, everybody. I am one of those. I don't want to say I'm a man's man, because that's kind of like blowing myself up and making myself bigger than I am as a human being. But I understand the man's mentality. When I go on trips to Costa Rica, there are many single men who say they're fishing. Now, you know what? I don't want to say that on this tape because I don't want to root it for all of these guys. So every man who's fishing and playing golf, they're really playing golf and fishing, okay? And women, you can believe whatever you want. I don't think your husband cares if you have time for yourself. He wants you to go away because I don't think he cares what you do. So there's a moment in time where I think you have a relationship with a woman where you don't really care if she's cheating on you or being with someone else because you don't really give a shit anymore. You want to be free, and your freedom is more important than what she's doing. So she can go wherever she wants to go because there's a moment in time where I don't think he really cares if she sleeps around or goes with her friends. He just wants his free time so he can do what he wants. And so, if I was her, I'd go wherever I'd go with my girlfriends and try to have some fun. Maybe she could find a little bit of excitement in her life. You don't have to live your life just for the sake of your children. I mean, you know what my mother would say, and my aunt said, after all the sacrifices she's made in her life, and my aunt made a lot of sacrifices, and so did my mother. My aunt had a famous line. She said, "You get the same thank you anyway." And take that down. You get the same thank you anyway. You could give them your blood, your time, your effort, and everything. And when you get older, you realize it don't matter. They don't really. Do they appreciate you? Some do, but most don't. Most children look at their parents until the child until the parent is old enough or close to death, where the child doesn't realize how much sacrifice that parent made to keep that kid in clothes, medicine, food, education, from getting beaten up. So remember that line. It's a famous line from Francis Enton. You get the same thank you anyway.
Am I the asshole for embarrassing my stepmom at dinner after she tried to teach me a lesson about my real mom? I'm an 18-year-old female. I live with my dad, and my stepmom was a 43-year-old female. My mom passed away when I was 10, and it's still a sensitive subject to me. My stepmom came into the picture a couple of years later. While we're civil, we're definitely not close. She's always had this weird vibe, like she's trying to compete with my mom, even though my mom isn't here. She gets snippy when I talk about her or wear anything that belonged to her, like my mom's old necklace, which I wear basically every day. Anyway, a few nights ago, we were out for dinner with my dad, my stepmom, and her parents. Her mom asked about a necklace, and I said it was my mom. She gave it to me before she passed. I wore it every day. My stepmom had immediately cut it in with, "Well, technically, I'm your mom now. I've done more mothering in the last 8 years than she did in 10." I swear the whole table was silent. I just laughed and said, "If you think being a mom is about trying to erase the actual one, then yeah, you've been amazing." She looked like she'd been slapped. Her mom gasped. My dad told me to apologize, but I refused. I said I was tired of her acting like my mom never existed and I was never going to, and I wasn't going to play along anymore. Now my stepmom is barely speaking to me, and my dad says I need to be the bigger person because she's just trying to connect. But to me, that didn't feel like connection. That felt like erasure. Am I the asshole for calling her out in front of everyone?
As a child who is being taken care of by a stepmom, the stepmom is not your mother, and she knows that. But she's trying to do her best to do everything that she can to make your life good. And every time you mention or you discuss your mom to the stepmom, your stepmom is hurt because she's now feeding you, clothing you, taking you to school, doing things for you, and you still are talking about your mom more than you care about your stepmom. And you will never care about your stepmom like you care about your natural birth mom. So, are you an asshole for calling your mom, your stepmom out? Yes, you are. In some ways you are, in some ways you're not. This is a tough one because as a child, look, I've been with girlfriends, and when I had a girlfriend when I was in school, she had two children, and I used spent the whole day with her children, taking care of them, feeding them, playing sports with them, and they would say, my daddy would do this, my daddy would do this, and I was a little bit annoyed that I had sacrificed my whole day for these kids, and they still were talking about somebody else, and they didn't care about me, that I was just basically a plaything or something that they were using for a couple hours or for 8 hours, which was really when you're taking someone else's child, so you understand. The child and you have there's no natural love. It's not like you have to do anything for this child. You don't really have to. You choose to do it, and then you're disrespected at the end of it by being told that you're not my daddy or you're not my mommy. So it's a very hurtful thing to be in that situation with a child. So the mom, in a sense, has a right to be upset, but her statement that I've done more for you than your mom, it could be possibly true. Huh? It could be true. It could actually be correct. It's just something that shouldn't be said. When you get involved with women who have children or men who have children, it is very, very, very unfortunate that the child does not relate to you properly and may never love you and never treat you like they should. Sometimes you get lucky. So I can't really be sure who's the asshole here, but you don't have a mom, you have a stepmom. She's doing her best for you. You might not love her, and you'll never love her like your natural mom. So my thinking is you're both wrong. You're both wrong in this one. You're both wrong. You should try to work on your relationship and try to see if you can have some common ground. This is the way the world is nowadays. Everybody is polarized. You should just say, look, I know you're not my mom. I know you're not my birth mom, and you're doing your best for me, and I really appreciate it. And the mom should say, I'm a little hurt that you mentioned your birth mom more than me because I really care about you and I'm trying my best to be your mom. And maybe we could develop a relationship. But sometimes, and I mean this sincerely, sometimes a child will just hate you. And you cannot ever get past that. I've had girlfriends with children, and one in particular, her daughter hated me. And I never did anything to the girl. I tried my best to be cool with her. and she just hated me. And I think it was such jealousy that I was with her mom that it kind of ruined the relationship because I really didn't want to be with the mom because with the daughter around, the daughter made me miserable. And buying her food and spending money on her. Oh my God. Imagine you go to dinner and you got to buy somebody dinner who hates your guts every night, and breakfast every night, and lunch every day, and they hate you, and take them to movies and they hate you. It's not simple. You're asking some people to do things that are really difficult. So I say, if you can, try not to marry single moms or single dads unless you really can develop a relationship with that child and you believe that that child and you could become like Shaquille O'Neal and his stepfather, where it's a real relationship where Shaquille O'Neal loves his stepfather and calls him dad. Unless you can do that, you're always going to be paying money and lots of money for someone who doesn't really care about you and never will.